Welcome to Riverdale. I'm your host, Bob Barth, and on this week's episode, we are going deep into Chapter 7, In a Lonely Place. With me this week are the moms we love to hate, Alice Cooper, and Penelope Blossom, played by the incredible Mädchen Amick and Nathalie Boltt.
Archie.
Betty.
Veronica.
Jughead.
I'm Cheryl Blossom.
For one shining moment, we were just kids. The bright neon lights of Pops keeping the darkness at bay.
Natalie and Mädchen, how are you guys?
Oh, so good.
So good.
Better than her. Whatever she says, better.
She's starting already. Here we go.
Here, it's on.
Ding, ding.
It's on.
Now, this is, Mädchen, we know enough about you already.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
you
Over to
wanna
me.
Talk about
And there's so much to talk about, and we'll get there. But the first
Okay,
thing we
okay.
have to catch our audience with is there's a learning curve with Natalie.
Yes, for one, I have an awesome accent. I sound nothing like I do on Riverdale.
You are from the great country of...
Well, South Africa. But I've been in New Zealand for 10 years. So, compute that.
It's amazing. So there's an amazing Riverdale, New Zealand, South Africa connection here.
Yes, funnily
Madeleine
enough. So yeah,
from South
Madeleine
Africa.
is from South Africa as well. I walked in the room at the pilot reading, and she went, "I too am from Africa," and I went, "Yeah, you sound like it." and then recently we've discovered even closer ties, really odd, like 1 degree of separation, where
wow.
her family owned the place, a valley, like kind of a little bit like the romance of Burning Man, but much smaller, like the area where my husband and I met and fell in
wow.
love. And and she was like, "Yeah, we own that." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
But does it top that at the table read, Lily and I looked across at each other and have the exact same tattoo on our forearm?
Look, everything that I say is going to top what you say, just
No.
like as a
No, it's actually
baseline.
not.
But that is quite cool.
That's
Right?
all right. Let's talk about the tattoo for a second.
Yeah.
She obviously stole it from you.
I don't remember when she said she got hers, right? But we had never met before, and we're sitting there in the table read, and I look across the table and I saw the tattoo that I have on my arm.
Amazing.
An arrow, and
It's an arrow on your forearm leading up to
yeah,
your wrist.
yeah. And so mine, I said, "Are you Sagittarian?" And she said, "No, mine's for a different reason." And she sort of talked about the meaning of hers. And then the weird thing is that we got it by the same tattoo artist.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
he's done mine. I was 39, and I've always wanted tattoos.
29, you mean? Because
Yeah,
only
true. Because I'm only
32 now.
32 now.
Yeah.
And I decided that I avoided tattoos my whole career because I sort of thought, actresses, you can't have them.
Right.
And then Angelina just started rocking it.
Yeah, things change.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if Angelina can do it, I can do it. So I decided before the age of 40, I was going to get some tattoos.
Yeah.
So that's when I found Dr. Wu at Shamrock on Sunset. So,
Funny you say Shamrock, because my tattoo is for Standing Rock. Yeah.
Oh,
see, so better
so-
already. No, it's not better, but I too avoided tattoos for the same reason.
Where's your Standing Rock?
It's on my shoulder. So when the whole North Dakota pipeline thing happened,
Yeah.
in solidarity with what was going on, because I absolutely believe it's just, it's where we're at the moment and
Yeah.
need to go forward. And so I was getting a whole design for my bicep, and then changed it to it's a red heart raven, which is,
Ooh.
it's the First Nation symbol. It's like the raven is the strongest symbol of transformation. So
Amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
all right,
like-
you win that one.
no,
All right,
I
fine.
think we can maybe like sort of.
I've always
Do you
wanted...
have the
shake on
scoreboard
that
going,
one.
by the way?
I do. There's a running tally right
Okay,
now.
good.
It's a dead heat.
Okay.
Oh,
One of these days, I hope to get my body in a proud enough shape that I'd be willing to put a tattoo somewhere, anywhere.
I've said my first tattoo is down my right side, really long, scripted thing. And I said, this is the official stamping on my body.
I
where
know what it
can't-
says.
I know you do. But I was like, I'm going to have to stay in shape because... I
Yeah,
need to
you
keep
don't
this-
want that
I
onto
don't want
your
it
ankle
to,
when it's meant to be
and
on
I
your
don't want
ribs.
it to like
It's a
become,
great-
like it'll start saying something else.
Yeah. It's a great motivator.
Really great
I have to go to
motivator.
the gym. I don't want to warp my
I don't want
tattoo.
to warp my tattoo.
Hey, but going back to you were asking about countries. Yes, and so KJ and I, well, because I'm originally from South Africa, where Madeleine and I were both born, I then moved to New Zealand and had been living there for 10 years. And so, again, walked into the room and someone was like, oh, so there's 2 Kiwis in the room now as well. And, well, I didn't sound like a Kiwi. I didn't sound like myself at all because I was kind of training myself to do my American accent. So I felt like a real idiot and kind of went up to KJ and said, hey, you're from New Zealand as well. And he was like, yeah. Like, I'm from Wellington. And he was like, oh, okay.
Are you sure? How long have you been there?
Sound like it. And after 2 months, I finally decided I could drop the American accent and just be myself. And then I still didn't sound like a Kiwi because I'm South African.
Yeah,
so, but
you're all mixed up.
I'm so mixed up, and you know that.
Now, you sitting in a couple of ADR sessions with you, you pop in and out quite easily. When you're on set, do you try to stay in an American accent?
I did for the first 2 months because I didn't feel confident. I mean, I'd been learning a Kiwi accent for about 10 years because it's a really complicated accent, right? And so I heard KJ at the pilot and I was like, wow, he's so good. And he was just popping in and out. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do that yet. And so I gave myself 2 months of just being American Penelope. And then when we all started going out together and I'd have a glass of wine and then I'd see my roomies who knew me as South African Natalie, I'd go, you know what, this is just getting too complicated.
Way too complicated.
And so I just dropped it and no one cared.
No, well, you do the accent really well. I have to say that I don't think I've told you this, but every time I watch the show, I always have to say, I have to tell Penelope. Penatally. I have to tell her how good you do with the accent.
Thank you.
I always hear it. I have a sensitive ear because I have a lot of Brit friends, and I hear the little soft, the little soft speech that they have trouble with.
Sure.
No, thanks, Siri. I'm good. It wants me.
Insistent.
She wants me to get Little Caesars pizza.
She must sense that you are hungry.
Unsolicited advertisement.
Siri doesn't care about me that much.
She's still talking about.
See, that's what happens when you're Mädchen Amick. You actually have Siri approach you.
Siri, I don't need Little
I have to
Caesars
beg
pizza
for
right
attention.
Now. Thank you.
And then she still gets it wrong.
That's fantastic. Anyway, you do a really good American
Thank
accent.
you for the compliment because
welcome.
after this, it's only going to be insults. I'm better at those.
I'm just sweetening you up, baby. Just to hit
to
you
take
right in
me
the
down.
jaw.
So, Natalie, in New Zealand, what was the first thing that sparks for you where all of a sudden the entertainment industry is a call-in? Was there film or watching television? What was?
Oh, I'd been in the entertainment industry for quite a long time before going to New Zealand. So,
okay, of course. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was best known in South Africa as Joey on one of the top daily drama called Isidingo, which means the need. And from there, I'd got a green card and done a couple of films. I did Doomsday with Bob Hoskins, and I did I did The Flood with Rob Carlyle, and a couple of really nice gigs. And then I came over to find Hollywood, and guess what? It was the writer's strike. And so I went, well, okay, what do I do now? And my husband was working for Peter Jackson in Wellington, New Zealand. And I went, I guess we'll go to your job then. Yeah. And I went there and had a baby.
Amazing.
They keep you there, don't they? Those little things.
Yeah.
And then you came back here and you did District 9, among other
Funnily
things.
enough, District 9 came to Wellington, New Zealand because Peter Jackson was the exec producer on that. And so, they called out and said, Nat, we need you. Can you, because they were putting together all the, it's a mockumentary.
Right.
And so that's how I got involved as the specialist on the aliens. I played the sociologist, and so I did District 9 in New Zealand, which was bizarre. Even in South Africa, everyone assumed that I'd done it there. So that was a coup. And then, I mean, I've been working in New Zealand on various telefeatures and comedies, etc. It's just that it's only now that they're starting to make their way to the rest of the world. So it felt like I was quiet there, but I wasn't. And then went to Vancouver on Planet of the Apes. My husband was doing VFX on Planet of the Apes. Vancouver, Riverdale, buddy boom.
Yay!
You are. So we're take note, Mädchen. We are losing jobs to not the Mexicans, South Africans and
South
New
African,
Zealanders,
Kiwi,
Kiwis.
Canadian invaders.
And Canadian invaders.
and the Canadians.
I will get
And
to
the
you no
Brits.
matter what.
So, Mädchen,
Yeah.
you're from.
Reno, Nevada.
All right, not
Yep,
too far.
That's the country I'm from. Yeah, Mom went to Reno, Nevada at a young age for a quickie divorce.
okay.
And my dad was the, hot, sexy band leader that was playing in the casino.
Nice.
And she was the long, red-headed, leopard-wearing little
Divorcee.
vixen, divorcee,
Recently.
needing to, process some things.
Did you
and-
live Copacabana? Was that your family?
Yes. And then and then poof, here came Mädchen, so I had the sort of artist blood in me from my dad, with the music, and so I grew up dancing and painting and playing music, and he taught me to play upright bass at a very young age. So not electric bass, like the big giant. As soon as my arms
sexy.
could reach around,
No
I
frets.
was playing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to do something in the arts, and around age 14, I found my way to high school theater. I would always tuck away in the movie theater and watch 2-3 movies in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was my sort of I just loved it. I love films. And so it just kind of boom, a big light bulb went off the first time I did a play, and I had a solo scene. And so then I plotted my escape from Reno, Nevada. And I started studying, what did it take? And I felt like all of the success stories that I read, people were starting to act at a much earlier age. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm already so far behind, was my thinking.
Right.
So I went to my parents with a very thought out plan. I went down to visit my half sister who was living in LA just temporarily. And I went and I met agents. So I met elite models and I got them to sign me. I don't know how I did that because I was
You're so ugly.
no, but I was only 5'6", and they don't even look at people under 5'8".
And quite young.
And young, I was 14.
Yeah.
And
And you were taking these meetings
Maybe they thought you were still going to
Yeah.
grow.
by yourself? You were taking these meetings?
yeah, so my sister knew a club owner that knew somebody that, was an agent at Elite, and just, I don't take no for an answer. I wiggle my way in. When you
Nice.
look up
I've seen it.
yeah,
True.
it's true. When you look up the word hustler in the dictionary, there's an actual really nice picture of me in there. So I had everything lined up. I had the commercial agent. I had Abrams Artist as my theatrical agent. And I basically negotiated with everybody and said, if I come back at 16, will you represent me? And they said, yes, if you come back emancipated.
Wow.
Yes. So I went home with this deal in place to my parents. And I said, look, this is what I want to pursue. This is what it's going to take. And if I can't, I made a deal with them. If I can't provide for myself within the first year, I'll come back. I'll
Wow.
finish school. I'll figure something else out.
Right.
Oh, poor
And I-
little thing. So grown up with such pressure
Yeah.
provided by
No,
yourself.
it was like. So I continued to study at Hollywood High. I got my GED, but I was, talk about pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
From the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, I was going on modeling calls and music videos and commercials and anything I could get.
And you were going to school here?
Yeah, and I was taking courses through Hollywood High.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who was making your lunchbox?
Girl, I didn't even need a lunchbox.
Oh, you thought they said emaciated when they said emancipated.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you see the pictures of me, I was barely holding 100 pounds. I was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I
All
was
that pounding.
And so your first break.
my first break. So within the end of that first year, so I have this strange thing with 3 projects happening at the same time, and this has been an ongoing thing. But at that time, I booked the pilot to Baywatch. Ooh. Then
Can
Star
you
Trek.
run in slow motion?
No, but I played a mentally unstable teenage girl
Oh, nice.
who jumped off the end of the pier
In slow motion?
in slow motion.
Wow, skills.
Yep. And then Parker Stevenson's character saves me as the lifeguard, and then I become like Fatal Attraction obsessed.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
It's really
Best
good.
kind.
But then since I had done that, I also booked Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then as I'm filming Baywatch, juggling Star Trek, I got the audition to come in and meet David Lynch because I had gone in for Joanna Ray, just constantly going in and auditioning, and so she wanted to introduce me to David. And then I sat in the room with David, and I auditioned another part. I think I auditioned Donna Hayward,
Okay.
Lara Flynn Boyle's part.
Right.
And he just at the end of the meeting said, "Do you want to do a TV show with me?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Okay." And I left the room, and I was
And
like,
you said, what's your name again?
but I
you
left
new?
going, I think I just got that job, but I'm not completely sure. And then what I didn't know until a lot of years later when I was watching one of the box sets
Mm-hmm.
is Mark Frost said that Shelley Johnson wasn't written yet. And I came in and I didn't fit any of the roles, and they actually wrote Shelley for me.
Amazing.
I did not know that.
And for those of you playing at home, we're talking about Twin Peaks.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is a
sorry.
major,
that little
By the
thing called
detail.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I mean, and it's back.
And it's back.
And you're back in it.
Yes, I am. I finally get to admit that.
Crazy
I don't
exciting.
think anybody was stealing jobs from Mädchen Amick. She just creates them, or people do it for her.
Well, and when
She's
you
got that
start
kind of pull.
your career with David Lynch, more or less,
Yeah.
There's really no surprises left.
No, I always say it's like he's my curse and my blessing.
Oh, really?
And I say that because he's absolutely my blessing, because I was shown such true artistry, how you can break the rules and
Right.
be successful. It's like lightning in a bottle. I mean, Twin Peaks was a really special thing. And then I say it's a curse because then I had to go out into the real world, and I had to go out and get other jobs and learn those hard lessons of, oh, so you're all not fearless, and you think you've got these like really constricted rules that you can't go outside of the box.
Formula.
And I keep saying, I kept saying, no, you can do. I just kept hearing, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. Whatever it was. If it's something in production, or it's maybe like where to go with the storyline, or what viewers can handle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, no, you can. I've seen it. I've done it,
But that was always the big fear with Twin Peaks from the business side, was that we were making something that there isn't really an audience for. And they
Right.
proved quite the opposite, even
Yeah.
though it only ran 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But the fandom for it is insane.
Yeah.
So much so that it inspires a film about 3 or 4 years later.
Yep.
And now a
And literally
revival
brought us
series.
back. The fans brought us back.
Yeah.
Because it's such a diehard fan
So
base.
awesome.
The little peakies. Hi, peakies.
So how do you, I've heard people have made a lot of comparisons. Producers on this show have made a lot of comparisons between Riverdale and Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Does it resonate with you?
To be honest, when I read it, I didn't think that at all. And it really wasn't until the pilot was seen by critics, and the critics were starting to draw the comparisons.
Right.
I did notice a little homage there in the Riverdale sign as you come into town.
Sure.
And so as I sort of was hearing those comparisons, I was like, okay, I understand the comparison. There's, the story's driven by finding a dead body, and it's a beloved high school student. And then from that is the catalyst to learn about the underbelly of a perfect little town. That's all very Twin Peaks. What I say is completely different, and why I didn't immediately associate with it was the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks is just very, very slow, super long shots, to the point where it's almost uncomfortable to watch because we're so used to things moving. And what I do love about Riverdale, but that's what's different, is that it has a much faster pace. very quick-witted lines, just rolling off characters' tongues. And that's just very different to me.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. But I love the homage to it and the wink at it.
When I had my interview with our executive producer, Sarah Schechter, she told all of us, how important Twin Peaks was for her. And when casting this show, specifically went gunning for you.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt.
That's funny.
There was very deliberate to look at the cast of Twin Peaks and the cast of Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah.
It was all very deliberate.
Yeah.
But what is great, and I got a little bit of this last week with talking to Lily and Madeleine, chemistry. Regardless of who did what and what the association of those shows are to Riverdale, at the end of the day, these actors have to work well together.
Yeah.
And it is so cool for the two of you to be in the same room, because honestly, if I didn't know, I would have thought you've known each other your entire lives. There's obviously
like it.
It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
You're very comfortable with each other. You're very good friends. So let's talk a little bit about meeting for the first time. Just the two of you.
I remember meeting you. You probably were less aware of me. I was sitting. This was all very wow. I didn't even know what the CW was. Okay.
You're not alone.
I assumed it stood for Canada something, because I'd been so far away.
Canada World.
Canada World.
It probably should at this point.
And so then gradually it started dawning on me as I had got the part and I spoke to people about what this show was, and had the reading, that this was really quite exciting. And I was sitting in the production office, and in walks Mädchen, and she was checking out some of her costume, and she had this kind of posture about her where I was like, oh God, she knows what she's doing. Once again, I'm going to be found out as the only scammer in the room, which is, what drives my whole life. Being
All
found
actors.
out. Yeah, right.
All
Because Bob's an ex-actor. I bet you still are an actor. And I was like, oh, she's quite scary. I think I'll stay away from her. And then the first, although I think I said, hi, I'm another mother. Or I probably went, hi, I'm another mother, trying to do my American accent. And you were like, yeah. Go get me a sandwich. No, you didn't say that, but that's what it felt like. And then the first scene we got to have together was where I hit you in the face.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
then it was love.
So
Yeah.
good.
And I've said this, Natalie, I've said this to you in person. That slap, was it from episode 2?
3.
3.
3? Is it 3?
Yeah, it was 3. And I've got to say, that was...
A Taste of Riverdale.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a taste of Riverdale.
That was a taste of
That
Riverdale.
was our Riverdale, is that we roll our Riverdale. But it was so funny because the stunt coordinator showed me how to do like a really good slap with a fantastic wind up. But
Yeah.
of course, I didn't actually connect. Spoiler alert. But for those of you who don't know how it works, I didn't actually connect with Mädchen. But it looked.
You clipped my nose one time.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did,
Why don't I
baby.
remember that?
I don't know. I felt it. Yeah.
I just had to have a moment there to kind of giggle to my. But the reason it looked so impactful was because Mädchen took it with the kind of training that a really good actor who's done stunts should take a slap. So it looked like I'd wound her with my whole body.
Yeah.
It's
So-
all of that combat, honestly, is how it's received.
Yeah.
What the perception of is on the other end. I'll be honest with you.
So what I'm saying is it was a duet.
It was a
Absolutely.
duet. It was love at first hit.
I feel like I've seen a lot of these sequences. When we got the dailies back of the slap, there were some where we like a crowd gathered around the door, and we played it over and over, and everyone in the room was like, "Oh my god! Oh, she killed her! She came off her feet!
Yes.
It was insane.
It was
So
so
just
good.
so you know, Mädchen took herself off her own feet because that's the kind of professional she is.
I'm giving like that.
It
I'm
was-
giving like that.
It was amazing.
Generous.
Well done. Well done.
Yes.
Woohoo. Yep, that was The Slap.
The Slap.
Riverdale
I know
history
that,
right
I know
there.
that they named a show The Slap.
Yeah.
But it was just leading up to this. This was
Exactly.
That was
The
a tap.
Slap.
Yeah.
That was just a trail run.
Totally. You guys are awesome. All right, let's. If you're ready, let's dig right into episode 107.
Okay.
Episode 107, In a Lonely Place. So at the top here, we have Jughead's 1950s nightmare.
Love
Yeah.
Which is really, it's a cute Easter egg for fans of the original comics,
Right.
where you see a lot of the traditional garb. Archie's wearing the R sweater.
Yeah.
Jughead has the crown
The
on.
crown.
Yeah, the cutesy
So
crown.
great.
It was great. And Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper in her little 50s dress.
And Betty is her little minion, her mini me.
Yeah.
You know what was fun is in that scene in particular, one of the times that Jughead's looking at Betty and in the background, so Betty kind of like tilted her head at one point
Yeah.
with a smile.
Yes.
And I saw that she was doing that. I knew I was in the background, so I just kind of like did it at the same
Oh,
time.
it's so good.
And then our
It
director
totally
Allison
works.
was just like, "Oh my god, that was so great!
Yeah.
You guys did it at the same time."
So funny you should mention that. So I reviewed that this morning as you guys did going over it, and saw you out of focus in the back end going, I wonder if she was directed to do that, because that is creepy as hell.
Yeah, no,
It was great.
No, it kind of came to me in the moment, so I did it.
That was
And I've got to
super
say,
fun.
like, I think that fantastic scene is once again part of what makes Riverdale so special. Is it's got that incredible saturation of color that makes it so delicious to
Yeah.
watch,
Mm-hmm.
and also it's driven by music. The music in the show is so awesome, and it sets the tone. And I think in that scene particularly, it's got that everything is perfect,
Yeah.
50s America.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just part of what Riverdale does so well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
The magicians, the wizards in the background.
After that, Archie, we come out of that quickly, and Archie catches Jughead living at school. He's been kicked out of his home, the drive-in, homeless once again, and we see that he's moved his things into the high school.
Really, the high school needs to work on their security. Clearly.
Clearly, there's a lot going on
Clearly,
after dark.
Yeah.
And the kids don't really have any problem getting into the school.
No, never.
Look into this janitor.
We do.
Mm-hmm. CCTV, what?
After that, over in the lodge apartment, Veronica starts the war with Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on. She's gonna start buying as much as she can on
Yeah.
credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
So good. The tit for tat that
Yes.
that Ronnie and Hermione have in this episode. It's so good. I love too when I don't know if I'm jumping out of order
No,
here.
it's all right. Go
But I
ahead.
love once they get to the club
Yes.
and the card is stopped, and then Ronnie's just like, "All right, Mom blinked. She's ready to negotiate."
That's
It's
right.
like, it's so great, like such a great tactic, and she knows for sure, like, "Oh yeah, now it's time to negotiate."
Which I guess my reaction to granted, I never lived in an era where I was anything on to be cut off from.
Yes.
It was, but being cut off, I would imagine I would probably just not go home. If
Yeah.
things are that bad.
But I love
keep
that
going.
actually she doesn't even worry. Like, she has a huge bill.
Yeah.
And the card doesn't work. And she's like, "Okay, it's time to go home." Like, not even like, "Oh, do we have to wash dishes? What are we going to do?" Nah, she doesn't
No.
care.
And
They're
I
just going to
think-
walk out of there. I know it.
It's a nice contrast, like all the parents seem to have so many problems in this show, which, we
Yeah.
do. But the way that Jughead gets back at his family is by sleeping under the stairs at school, and Ronnie gets back at her mum by behaving like a New York brat.
Yeah.
It's a nice contrast, hey?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shortly after that, Betty tells the gang about Polly.
true.
It's on. The Blossoms start a Polly witch hunt. At the same time, Kevin tells Betty and Veronica that the Blossoms are hunting for Polly. So we meet both of you guys in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, there was just a gigantic mouse up in the Cooper house. I don't know
Right.
how Mama Cooper didn't hear that gigantic
You are very quiet.
mouse
Yeah.
Yeah.
named Polly in the attic. But anyway.
But I think it's also quite cool that we finally see, Polly's not mad.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Right.
what it's all been. We've led
Been led to
been
believe,
led.
yeah.
Yeah, you say it better.
But, it's like,
That's the only
we
time I'm
had the
conceding.
hunt down in the woods. We didn't need you guys with your bloodhounds looking for
I love
Polly.
the slow motion. Yeah. And the weird Blossoms in their tweed costumes. Like, where do we
Yes.
even come from? It's fantastic. That's
yes.
just our look of
The hunting
old
party.
England.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll shoot her out of the sky if she's flying.
Yeah.
And then it's on. It's a face-off between Penelope and Alice once again.
Yeah.
This is what fascinates me about Alice.
Okay.
So she keeps getting in Penelope's face.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows that Penelope will slap. She calls her bluff every time. She
Yeah.
just keeps putting her face back out there every time. It's amazing to me. It shows you, how delusional Alice really is.
But Alice works on, and I think I've definitely talked about this in every episode of the podcast. Alice works on a level that only maybe Alice understands.
Yeah, true.
It's and there's a certain amount of credit that I'm going to give the writers on this, but so much of this is in your performance, without a shadow of the doubt. The fact that you can give, and there's an interesting parallel between your character and Madeleine's Cheryl. Both of you are operating on the same level, where you can have these sort of grand operatic moments, where you are larger than life, and you're either awful and evil and smear. Oh my gosh, the lipstick smear across Betty's face is catastrophic.
So Mommy Dearest.
Oh, it's
so good.
Intense.
Yeah.
But then you have the ability, and this is where the chops come in. You have the ability to then ground a moment almost right after it, to make that character believable. Because otherwise it becomes Mommy Dearest. It becomes something that is maybe a little cartoonish. But we see Alice's true colors. We see her shattered.
Yeah.
We see where that comes from.
Yeah.
If I can jump in
It's
there,
amazing.
I mean, I think it really, what Mädchen was telling us about the start of her career definitely echoes that, the 14-year-old marching out of Nevada with her business plan to Hollywood. Yeah, I think thick skin, right? And that was yesterday, now it's today.
Scrappy.
New plan.
I have to be honest. I'm still finding Alice. I'm not going to pretend I know her. And as we were going through the different episodes, I was really thankful, and I have to be completely complimentary to Roberto right now. We did the pilot, and then he sat down with all of us at the end of the pilot, and he just did a kind of like a round table down in the hotel lobby, and we all came in, and he gave us all, about a half hour, and we just kind of like sat down and talked about, what do you think about your character? Where do you think they would go?
Okay.
That doesn't happen.
No.
It was a beautiful thing, and whether he used some of our ideas or not, but I think it was just this really great open communication that just doesn't come around.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talked about in that, sit down, I made sure that I ordered him a really strong beer, and I massaged his shoulders. No, but we talked about, we just really talked about like Alice being this villainess and where to take her, how she raises the stakes in Betty's life. And I just said, take her as far as you possibly can. And he talked about that there's a lot going to be revealed, and you're going to sort of eventually feel for her and her circumstance. And I said, the farther you can take her, the farther she can fall. And I really wanted to play with that. So as the episodes came in, and some of them are, Alice is horrible.
Yes.
Horrible human being. But then there's also a scene where you realize her heart's broken and you relate to her.
That's right.
And so
think
I was
she's
trying to
very
figure out.
relatable. Yeah,
You think so?
You can see the struggle within Alice. I mean, it's all being revealed to me as we go along. But I get it, and I think it's quite a beautiful thing to see someone who is putting on that kind of, I can take, bring whatever you've got, but then at the same time is the mother and is trying to keep it all together. I think it reads really beautifully.
Yeah. No, she's been so fun to play, because there'll be a moment where it's actually comedic. The way that she comes in and, squeals to a stop in her car, tells her to get in, like there are really funny moments, and then there's tragic moments.
The drive-in banging on the window.
Yes.
Fred, if you're done with your adultery, the children.
Yeah.
She has, you're absolutely right. But again, to put it on your shoulders, squarely on your shoulders.
Yeah.
There are moments where she is so awful, there's almost no coming back from it.
Right.
Where you can alienate entire audience, where everyone's just go, she's just the bad guy.
The one to hate.
But to be able to turn it around and make you feel pain for her is something that it takes talent.
I think Thank you.
Yeah.
I will accept the compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here, 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 here.
Thank you.
Yep. Me and David Lynch, we both like that. All right. So back to the show. All right. So in Act 2, Jughead tries to convince FP to take his job back.
Yeah.
And that maybe if he takes the job back, the construction job back, it's going to bring the family back together.
Yeah. And get FP to straighten up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just saying, Skeet Ulrich, who plays FP, wow, what an amazing performer. And doesn't he play it so, he plays messed up so well and so vulnerably and so believably, and then he scrubs up so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something, the style of this show, and obviously Roberto, obviously the original director who set the tone for this.
Yeah, Lee.
Mm-hmm. There is something kind of amazing about Riverdale where things can look so beautiful, and yet there's so much ugliness and pain, and it marries so well together in a very unusual but very stylized way. And I think
maybe kudos to David Rappaport, the casting.
Yeah,
director.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But for I think my point being for Skeet to come in and give this, for lack of a better term, grungy performance.
Yeah.
And have it live side by side.
And everyone
with
go,
these
yes,
kids.
that's Jughead's dad.
And
Of course it is.
and the network, the network embraces it and allows it.
Yeah.
And go there, go dark, go uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Absolutely.
And I want to give credit also to the writers, the whole
of course.
writing staff, because
Definitely.
they have built a Bible. And I can't wait, and I really want many, many years of this show to go, because they have the most wonderful, juicy history to Riverdale that we're just barely tapping into.
Mm-hmm.
The history of these families, very Hatfield and McCoys.
Yes.
Based
what's
partially on
happened.
truth, huh? On little small towns where they've
there's a lot of this
crazy
stuff.
history that they wanted to incorporate. Yeah.
So
Also, they'll probably be quite good pictures, because apparently there's some good drawing material that's come from the Archie comics.
Yes. But I think that really plays in to when you watch a show, when it doesn't just feel like, oh, we're doing a formula show and this is what the characters do. There's this deep history that they're drawing from, that they know the history of.
Right.
And maybe us as an audience, we don't know it quite yet, but we can feel something. And they've shared that with us as actors, so we can sort of perform it knowing history, which is really amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. After that, Jughead and Betty start the search for Polly. And this gets to where we were talking before. The Cooper search party meets the Blossom witch hunt, and you two ladies are head to head once again.
Penelope's very quick to blame Polly for Jason's downfall. I find that really interesting. Yeah.
Blame
it has to be a
everyone.
Cooper.
Blame everyone
For
else.
everything.
Yeah.
Yep. No, there's some history between the Blossoms and the Coopers that we'll
Yes.
continue to see, but
It's
deep.
the delicious drip feed.
You're
it's
absolutely
deep.
right.
It's deep.
I know that's what gets so, I have to be very careful when I'm reviewing the episodes and sitting down with you guys. I'm like, okay, I can't mention X, Y, and Z.
exactly.
That happens after this moment.
Yeah.
But hang in there, gang.
Hang
It
in
is
there.
worth
It's
the
coming,
journey.
and it's crazy.
After that, Alice preps Betty for press.
Mm-hmm.
You can, you will.
You can, you will. And there's some very delicious things that don't make the cut sometimes, which I hope that they do like a blooper reel and they can reveal some stuff.
Sure.
But at the end, when she's prepping her for press, Alice reaches down, grabs water, and splashes Betty in the face. And then reaches across and smudges all of her mascara and basically like you're going to play the part of the, the sad.
Crazy.
Yeah. So she's Alice knows how to work stuff, and then she holds her little press conference for the town and needs to one up
Drops the bomb.
Blossoms. Yeah.
And drops the big bomb that we've all been dancing around.
Oh, that intricately will link the
And really,
Coopers
as
and
the
the Blossoms.
as the Blossoms stormed away, I don't know if we saw this or not, but Alice has a nice little smile of enjoyment.
Yeah, you enjoyed that moment.
That
You
is something
knew
that
it
I
was
think
gonna
both of your
crack.
characters have in common, that there is a certain amount of for lack of a better term, evil
Yeah, and I think
that you
is-
both enjoy.
Oh, definitely. Well, what's not to enjoy about evil?
But it's manipulating other people's feelings, and then you have one up on them.
You're being successful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what again the writers have done so nicely is, created this creepiness around the Blossoms that doesn't surround the Coopers. So the Coopers, I would say, are more of a contemporary, power-hungry family. Well, mainly run by Alice.
Well, and
Whereas
it's interesting that the Blossoms have all of the old money,
That's right.
And the
We're sort of
old
stuck
history.
in our own little
Mhm.
time warp.
and the
Um,
Coopers have that new money, and they're so desperately
Yeah.
trying to work their way up in the hierarchy of the town.
And in that way, you kind of have that power over us, whereas we are stuck in our tweed world of tweed and
old money,
and hunting parties and people with horses. That's what I always think. It's sort of like the British royal family in a way. And there's the very deep creepiness of Thornhill. The mansion and
Oh my gosh.
being kind of stuck on the outskirts and not understanding the world.
and poor
really
Nana
well.
that you have tucked away in the corners.
Nana Blossom.
Yeah, behind every
She's
door.
so-
there's
Behind
an
every
old
door,
lady
there's
with a crazy eye.
With a crazy eye. Don't stare
Don't
in
stare
her
in it
eye
too
long.
too long.
It'll take your soul.
Yeah.
At the end of Act 2, Betty has a light bulb. She realizes where Polly is.
Mm-hmm.
Kisses Jughead,
So sweet.
and Polly needs Betty's help. At the top of Act 3, FP takes Fred's offer to work again.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a connection here between Hermione and FP.
Dun dun dun.
And it's all out on the table. After that, Betty asks Hal and Alice about Polly's baby.
Yeah. No, everything's great. Yeah, she can come live here. Everything's good.
Baby's going to go straight to
Someone else.
someone else. We're very excited she's coming back. We're even more excited that the baby will belong to someone else.
But did you see the subtlety happening? Maybe it wasn't even subtle between Hal and Alice when they're discussing whether the baby's going to be adopted out
Oh,
or
that
not.
fantastic moment.
That little moment,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say exactly what's going on there, but is Hal and Alice on the same page? Aren't they? I don't know.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Shortly thereafter, Betty and Cheryl get together to make a plan to help Polly.
Yeah.
Polly needs money.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's not a problem for the Blossoms.
not
ever.
a problem for the Blossoms.
And Cheryl's still creepily, has weird attachments to Jason and now the baby.
Yeah.
And I
it's
think that
not-
the whole idea of the baby is that a piece of Jason is still alive.
Yeah.
It's all
That's
creepy.
going to be pinged by, for Cheryl and for the remaining Blossoms. And I think the race then is on.
Yeah.
And it
who's
gets
gonna
really
win?
twisted as to how you get to own that piece of Jason.
Yeah.
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 Ooh.
Yeah. Cheryl definitely wins the award for most difficult to figure out at any
Yes.
given moment.
Yes. Yes.
While still playing it really sweetly that she is young and she hasn't got all the answers. Because I
Yeah.
think that's what's coming up. You'll talk about it later. But, she thinks, okay, you just need money. We can get money. I'll get my parents involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we saw, we talked about it in last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago's episode, but we finally figure out, based on Penelope's relationship with Cheryl, how come Cheryl is the way she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is
Poor
a
thing.
tremendous amount. This is what happens when you don't hug your child.
Yes.
Hug your child.
Or you become president of the United States.
Yes.
Ooh,
Do you have another hour to talk about that?
yeah. Nasty women. Have a little
Yes.
bit to say about mean
CW
men.
should start using that as an advertising campaign.
Natalie and I went on a pussy march.
Yeah.
And we were out on the pussy march. By the
Yeah.
way.
Did you not see those posts?
I don't know. Where do those posts go?
Yeah.
It's out stuff. Hashtag it's out. Anyway, back to Riverdale.
I have to cut all of that.
Mädchen had whiskers. Also on her face. Just saying.
All right. All right. After that, Jughead and Archie check in on their dads. Fred and FP are reminiscing about the good old days and the Fred heads
Mm-hmm.
and the plan to jam.
I like
a
that.
plan to jam.
Yeah, plan to jam. And I like that that idea that you're now going into the parents and the fact that children don't know their parents, because if you don't ask the questions, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And Archie's like, what? You were in a band?
You
It's
had a
called
life?
Fe-" Yeah.
Yeah, it's and this is not only not only for Archie and his dad or Jughead and JP, but all of the kids. Since the pilot are learning so much about their parents,
Yeah.
good and bad.
Yeah.
And a recurring theme is that this is that time in your life when, and I'm sure you guys experienced it too, where you look at your parents for the first time,
Right.
as flawed human beings.
Yeah.
And it's earth shattering. It changes
what's-
perception.
That really is what's fun about watching the kids at the age that they are now and what they're going through in their young adolescence and finding their own way. This is also the time period that as kids you start looking at your parents differently.
Definitely.
And you start learning more about your parents differently.
And possibly judging them less harshly because you realize, this is the first step in a path that we could also be on, and you have to make decisions and they might not
Or
be the
you're
right ones.
aghast.
Yeah. And I think there's
You
something
know?
to that. I think
Yeah.
the first thing is the person who I have in many cases idolized for
Yeah.
Yeah.
12, 13,
It's
14
not
years
perfect.
is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of shatters everything. And then as you mature, you realize, oh, they went through hardships I will never understand. And that's
Yeah.
formed the person that they are.
Mm-hmm.
It adds a dimension to a relationship that it can be great.
And it's hard for the parents when they start realizing they're losing the grip and the control, especially for Alice.
Sure.
So she tries to figure out, like, how tightly do I squeeze this bunny?
Right.
You know, like I
Right.
want to keep her in control. I want to keep her safe. I want to, and at the same time, I guess I can't go too far because I may make her run away. And then she has history with her other daughter.
Right. And,
So
and
it gets-
Alice is this character who has had, or at least the perception is that she's had absolute control over her entire life.
Yes.
She has worked hard, come hell or high water. Things happen the way she wanted them to happen based on her work ethic.
Yeah.
And as we learn, Polly doesn't fit that mold, and Alice's world starts to crack
Yeah.
in a way that she is still scrambling to try to put back together. And so when Betty starts doing the most minuscule thing, putting on lipstick,
Right.
that is
She's
a
like, "Oh, no,
little
no, no."
sexy.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No.
This is how I lost it last time.
And all
Right.
the pressure falls to Betty. It's really hard on her, and I think it's so true to life, and so wonderful for our audiences to witness.
Yeah.
How much pressure is too much pressure. Who pushes back when between the children and the parents.
But it all comes back to that these are even the operatic tones of some of this are so relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that if you are a human being on this earth that have lived past the age of 12 or 13, you understand what this is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. The people who have come from my life out of the woodwork saying, loving Riverdale, watch the show. Some of them are 40 and 50-year-old
I am getting
6-year-old
so
women.
much of that. I
Yeah.
was so surprised. Yeah. Can't wait for the next episode. Oh my God, we're obsessed with this show.
There's a nostalgia attached to Archie, which resonates with people of all ages. It's been around for 75
Yep.
years.
Yep.
But then there's also, I think, the younger generation that they're depicting with all of the classic characters is all fascinating to watch and brings us all back to, oh yeah, I remember that time, that first love, and standing up to my parents for the first time. But then they've really done a good job of not just, I've heard the promise before from producers and writers and networks, like, no, we're going to do really good stuff for their parents. And then you're like, yeah, there's hardly, like, you walk in and you're a talking head. Yeah. They really are. Like, they're really showing all of the parents and the older generation in town very deeply and well thought out.
And well thought out, because the depth of the parents brings out the depth of the kids.
Yeah.
The
Gives them more
teenagers in the show.
dimension.
Yeah. So it feeds itself, which is
what
makes it so
Roberto
fun
said
to
that he did
watch.
want to make sure to do, which is what Twin Peaks did well, is you were as invested with the younger generation and the younger actors as you were the older actors. It's just hard for me to come to terms that I'm now the older actor.
You're not.
Only as
I'm just
only as
hot
old as
somewhere
you
in
wanna be.
between.
All right. So in Act 3, Towards the end here, Veronica defies her mom and heads out to party. And this goes to what we were talking about before. And there's the big fight. She's just going to go nuts.
Yep. She's going to punish her mom by spending that money.
Going clubbing.
Hit her where it hurts.
Top of Act 4, the kids are at the nightclub, and Josie, Kevin, and Veronica and Reggie discuss their parents. Veronica, as we learned, she's actually really affected by her mom's betrayal.
Right. Yeah.
Your mom forged the document, and
she's really caught in between mom and dad, Veronica. You know,
absolutely.
She doesn't really know where the fault is in that relationship. You know, why was dad put away? What's he really guilty of? How's mom handling it? I think she's just really caught in that triangle and sometimes feeling very much in the middle between the two of them. Not sure what they're fighting about is her mom and dad fighting and what she can do to mend it. It's a good little storyline.
Yeah.
And realizing that it's not black and white, there's so much gray area, right?
Yeah.
Which is also the part of growing up as a teenager going, oh, you can't just be idealistic.
Yeah.
You actually have to work your way through the various avenues and problems and obstacles. And there are so many where it comes to Hermione
so
and
many
Hiram.
shades of gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the gray is what gives us the great drama. It's just in real life, gray is brutal.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's brutal, but that's what gives us great television.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to go back over to the Andrews house where Archie is jamming with FP, and we get a little bit of the history there. So from FP's point of view, Fred had bailed him out of jail with the promise that he would sign over his part of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, it sounds as if Fred did something maybe a little underhanded. Shortly thereafter, we're back over in the chocolate shop diner. Betty meets with the Blossoms to cut a deal for Polly.
Yeah, and that's where we connect back to Cheryl's innocence of going, oh, you need money? I can get my parents involved.
Right.
But it's never that simple. And, of course, the Blossoms have their own ideas as to what their payback will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Little piece of Jason.
So then shortly after that, Veronica's back at the club. Veronica says her card was stolen, so she knows
so good.
It's
Love
time to talk.
Yep.
Time to go home and talk.
Mom blinked.
Mom blinked.
Love it.
Back over to FP's trailer. It's such a interesting adult and troubling relationship between FP and Jughead.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the son who is taking care of his alcoholic father,
Yeah.
who you want to believe loves his family,
Yeah.
tries to do the right thing,
Yeah.
but this ego gets in the way. Clearly the alcoholism gets in the way.
Yeah.
And Jughead is in a tight position between walking out on what's left of his family or going, no, there's still something in there worth saving.
They do. So I know a lot about addiction. My work with mental health, I learned a lot about addiction and just the disease of it and the chemical imbalance and the way the brain works. And I think they're doing such a good job with FP's character because it is really complicated. If you look at it from the outside, you think like, what a shitty dad. Oh, can I not say?
You can. I have to take it out later.
You have a yucky dad.
Yeah.
I think they're just doing a really good job of depicting how FP tries to clean up. He has good intentions, but the disease is still has him,
and the
crippled.
And the beauty of Jughead dealing with things way beyond his years, where you adore your parent and you every single time you want to believe when they say I'm going to get better and I love you, because they're your lifeline, and then being let down, and that's the cycle, right?
And I think it was beautiful and heartbreaking when FP said, I just need a month or two to get. I think there was a turning point for FP that says, just give me a minute. And you don't know if that means, is this it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this not going to come back together? Is he going to disappear? Or will he really prevail and really be able to turn some things around and work hard to rebuild that relationship.
And
get
Cole Sprouse has got this amazing ability to show so much pain in his face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
You know?
and this episode in particular.
No one tells you as a young person, like, this actually is too big for you to deal with.
Yeah.
You need to reach out, you know,
Yeah.
and isn't that what, I mean, children and teenagers do? They think, this is mine, I'm going to have to solve it all on my own. You know,
And I
you
love that
take on the
Jughead
world.
tries to do that on his own.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's got a nucleus of friends that see his pain and surround him and help him. And that's what's great
Yeah.
about the show.
And that's the
great about the
message, right?
characters.
And from your study with alcoholism, your work with alcoholism, you know, there is, you know, tends to be young people who are frequently ill-equipped to handle this, who have to deal with it
Yeah.
because no one else knows.
Yeah.
It's
and they
an-
keep
it's
it
an
a secret
isolated
until they
incident. Yeah.
start drowning.
And so once again, this is a great window into, unfortunately, too many kids' lives
Yeah.
of something that they're having to manage all by themselves.
And I do love, and I don't know if the writers are doing this on purpose. I think that they love their characters and they love the relationships
Yeah.
of all of the. But I think it really is a great message just for kids out there that are dealing with this, that are dealing
Yeah.
with the exact situation, and it probably feels you're isolated, you're alone, you have to do this on your own. To find those safe people,
Right.
find those people that you can trust and get support. You know,
Yeah.
and if you just take that brave step, there are people out there. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
'cause
where it comes.
There's such a strange, you know, all of us being parents in the room, there's such a strange instinct for children to parent their parents. And
Yeah.
then, you know, years from now, decades from now, they would look back and go, oh God, what was I doing? What did I think I could do? I should have asked for help.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, they're so brave. They're so
Yeah.
brave.
Yeah.
I've got an 8-year-old, and so does Bob. Has a 9-year-old, and Mädchen has grown kids, and they're so brave, aren't they? So you know,
Yeah.
it breaks your heart,
Yeah.
but it's not their place to be parenting their parents.
Right.
Yeah.
After that, Archie confronts Fred and gets the full story about the breakup with FP. Not only did he bail him out of jail, but FP was stealing materials and
Right.
selling them outside. So, it's
More complicated relationships.
Not black and
Absolutely.
white.
that takes us to the top of Act 5, where Jughead is ambushed by the sheriff. They found the murder board.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that sort of makes Jughead a suspect
Right.
off the bat.
And his fingerprints.
And the fingerprints.
And all of the history of what he's done as an angry little boy.
Uh-huh.
And, as he's being courted off to the local police house, he tells his friends, tell my dad.
Tell my dad. Yep.
Jughead needs his dad now, maybe for the first time, more
Right.
than ever. And we go to an interrogation. Back over to the Blossom Manor, Cheryl realizes her parents don't really want to help Polly.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see her take drugs?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So just to sort of
Leading the
innocently
witness.
with her taking notes in the notebook, going, just making sure she'd be a good parent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cheryl's penny drops.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not good. Back
See,
over to the
I made a
sheriff's
little
station.
pun there. Get it?
No.
Penny drop. Penelope,
Oh,
Cheryl. You guys.
God, you're so much smarter than us.
So
and,
you're,
like,
wor-
so
you're
much more
working on
clever.
a totally different level.
Totally
It
different
actually
level.
only occurred to me afterwards.
Back over to the sheriff's station, Fred gives Sheriff an alibi for Jughead.
Yeah.
And at the same time, FP shows up at the sheriff's station.
Love
late.
that scene. My favorite scene of the whole episode.
It's great, and it's brutal, and it
Brutal.
gets to what we're talking about here. So he shows up. He's late. He appears to be intoxicated.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I hear some live tweeting next door.
I think live tweeting is about to begin here on the West
Episode
Coast.
6, Riverdale.
So
But yeah, I'd just like to chime
Yeah.
in there and say, I think all of us in our mind have an idea of who would save us if we got into that position where we really needed someone. And often usually it's a parent, especially when you're young. And when that person doesn't come through for you, I think it shatters your world and you take on a new chapter of your life.
Yeah.
well, and he says, and this is what we were saying before, where Cole's performance is what is really it gets to your heart. It really does.
Yeah.
Is his dad shows up because he's trying to do the right thing. He is not capable of doing the right thing.
No.
His chemical imbalance is keeping that from a reality.
Right.
He kind of begs Jughead to come home.
Yeah.
He needs him now more than ever. Unfortunately, Jughead needs his dad.
Right.
The Andrews have stepped up and said, you can stay with us.
Yeah.
And what we want, or at least what I wanted when I'm watching it, is I want
Him to go to the Andrews.
Well, I want him to go to the Andrews, but honestly,
But you want his dad to be better too.
I want the dad to go, you know what? No, I'm going to get it together.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna fight hard, and I'm gonna need your help, but we're gonna get this family back together. And
Yeah.
that's where Jughead seems to be going. And then JP says, no, I'm gonna need time to
FP.
get my FP. I'm gonna need time to get my life back together. And then it starts. I'm gonna need a week. I'm gonna need a month. I'm
Yep.
gonna need 2 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is that
And
chapter.
the look on Cole's face,
I know.
Jughead is shattered
The
Yeah.
damage is done.
because
Yeah.
the effort to be a better person has escaped him
Yeah. Yeah.
in that moment.
In that moment.
And
And we don't know where it's going to go and what's going to happen. We will learn. Thank
Yeah.
goodness we have more episodes. But yeah, that's that moment in your life where you don't know. Is this it? Is, his dad walking out of his life.
You need a new hero.
Absolutely. At the top of
I
Act
think
6.
Alice should take FP in and
God.
just clean him up.
Oh yeah. I want to clean him up first.
Be like
We
the
could share him, Penelope and Alice cleaning FP.
Alice Cooper rehab clinic.
Yes.
That'd be hilarious. Act 6. We have Hermione and Veronica call Hiram.
Yep.
That ball is rolling. Fred fakes the time card for Jughead's alibi, going up a little above and
lies.
beyond.
Yeah.
Back over to the chocolate shop, Cheryl warns the group that the parents are not going to help Polly.
Not
Tells
in the
her
way
to
they want.
Run.
She's not safe. And like we said before, for JJ's baby. JJ's baby.
JJ's baby.
So creepy.
Baby JJ.
So creepy. Oh.
Yeah.
Back
What are
over
they
to
thinking?
the
And then that Hermione just offers up her house, just anything for the Cooper girls. Oh my God.
That Hermione. Oh my. Yeah.
She's the bane of my existence. I mean, Alice.
Back Polly is welcomed into the Lodge's apartment. Amazing. Andrew's house, Jughead and Archie decompress. And this is where Jughead surprises us because he makes a decision that I don't think many of us, I certainly wouldn't make, which is he's not giving up on his dad.
Yeah.
This is a chapter that is ugly and unfortunate, but he's not willing to give up on him yet. So eternally optimistic.
Yeah.
Which is great. And
Yeah,
then
but when do any of us give up on our parents? You know, it takes, even if you've got awful parents, it takes such a long time to really see that,
yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I do. Yeah.
It's hard though. I mean, look,
Some do, though.
Family members are
some
hard.
shut it down. Some just like, I can't handle this hurt anymore.
Yeah.
And
Especially
they
if
build
it's a
that
recurring
wall
thing.
that almost never
But
gets
often
broken
it turns
down.
into anger first,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't really come to terms until you're like 60.
It's indifference that
Right.
takes a long time.
At 60, you start to go, oh, I guess my parent was a human and they were complicated. And
Yeah.
maybe I need to look at this a
lower
different
my
way.
expectations.
Yeah. Or at least when you start having kids is when you start looking at your
Yeah,
own parents
right.
very differently.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
understand.
Yep.
And then, of course, as we do on every fantastic episode of Riverdale, we have a big surprise stinger. And this episode is no different. We reveal that in FP's closet is Jason's varsity jacket.
And what does that
How
mean?
the heck did that get
How did that get there?
Jason FP?
This is when you have the entire audience go,
Why do I have to wait another 7 days?
well, who? I thought
Wait.
he did it.
Wait, I thought Hal Cooper. Wait. Okay. Yeah, I know.
So maybe not Betty.
Which has been so fun for us, just to sort of wrap it up. But like as actors, when we go to the table reads and we get to read the script for the first time.
Yeah.
And then we're in the van going, back to set or whatever. And we're all going, oh, I think I know who did it now. No, it's because of this. No, it's because of that. I mean, we're just as engaged.
We've had times where we walk out of there where I remember my cheeks being so on fire just from being so wound up by what was going on, and then sort of turning to other people going, did you actually understand what happened? Because I was so nervous and so full of adrenaline. My mouth said the words and my ears weren't listening. Can you explain this episode to me?
But we've all been like, who killed Jason Blossom?
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out, which is kudos to the writers, because they had us guessing, and
Keep you on the hook.
now that we're at the end of filming, we may know.
They may change
Just don't
it.
give your
They-
address.
they
'cause So we have a couple questions here from the Twitterverse.
Yes. I forgot
This
to
is
check my
from
feed.
Allie at EMNEHXO.
As it goes.
Sure. For you guys, what has been your favorite scene to film this season?
Go you first.
Favorite scene to film this season. I did love it. Towards the end, was it episode 12 or 13 at Thornhill?
Yeah.
There's a big Blossom Cooper
blowout
showdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all we can say.
That's all we can say. But
it was a lot of fun.
12.
Yeah.
Episode 12.
It's a 12. Okay.
And you guys have any favorite off-screen moments? I know that we talked about it very briefly here, but y'all went and did the Vancouver Women's March.
Yes, that was
that was definitely
lot
a
of fun.
highlight. Yeah.
I was a blubbering mess during that. I was so moved by it because, to be honest, of course, there's a lot of people that are not my president, anti-Trump kind of thing going on, but it was so much more than that. It was a
the
day to come
atmosphere was
together
amazing. Yeah.
and just talk about issues that are important to all of us. It doesn't matter what president is sitting in the office. There are really, really important, pressing things that we all need to have a voice for.
And I've
to
gotta
come
say-
together was beautiful.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Riverdale for me, and a number of my friends and fans who have, especially of the parental age, have come through to me are all going, this is a really feminist show. The women in this show have such incredible storylines, and it's so kind of, sorry, but it's beyond, film is kind of getting stuck. We might be shifting out of that whole, where are the women in cinema. TV is it's just progressing at such a rapid rate, and it's so wonderful to be part of a show that is so well written with such incredible layered female characters, the men of course as well, but relating back to that march, it felt like it was all just coming together.
Yeah. We're
it's
finding
special.
our voice, and we're
Yes.
being given platforms to speak, and that's important. And everybody's involved in that, men,
Absolutely.
women.
And it's not just
everyone.
this country, it's all around the world,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
spectacular.
we're stopping
Yeah.
being silent.
Yeah,
It's great.
true.
Mädchen,
Yes.
Natalie, thank you so
Bob,
much. This
thank
has been
you.
absolutely fantastic. You guys are
Yeah.
the best. We have to put a date on the calendar for cocktails because I would really enjoy it personally.
You said my favorite word.
But until next time,
Calendar.
listeners, keep watching Riverdale, 9 o'clock on the CW. Until next time,
Thank you,
hashtag
Bob.
Riverdale Strong.
Hashtag Riverdale strong.
Woo!
I was playing cool, trying to make do, but I was just the fool. Think you felt it too? I watched you take the blame. I never felt such pain, like a child in the rain. I just stood amazed. My heart was born to you. It wasn't born to lose.
Greg, move your head.